The former Hardap governor and more recently Minister of Education, Arts and Culture, Katrina Hanse-Himarwa's corruption conviction and consequent resignation followed swiftly by an announcement by the President's office of his acceptance of said resignation has dominated headlines this week. Looking angelic in all white, Katrina Hanse-Himarwa was found guilty by Judge Christy Liebenberg this week and must now prepare for her sentencing.
In the result, on the count of contravening Section 43(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act 8 of 2003, corruptly using office or position for gratification, the accused is found guilty as charged.
Accused of corruption, the former Minister of Education, Arts and Culture, Katrina Hanse-Himarwa, appeared unfazed by the judgment and in surprisingly high spirits following her conviction on charges including having perjured the court and having used her office to advance a personal cause.
I have been listening in the way my lawyer has listened into. My view is completely different from what the judge has been viewing and what he has decided on today.
Are you going to appeal?
Well, we will study the and for sure, this is not the end.
Are you going to resign?
For me, this is not the end. So we will study the judgment. So it's going on.
How do you feel does this guilty verdict reflect on your political career?
Of course, the guilty verdict, if you are guilty of an offense, it's obvious that it has got its own impact on your political career. But that, for me, is not even the end. Yes.
The Namibian newspaper filmed this clip of President Hage Geingoob's response to questions around former Education Minister Katrina Hanse-Himarwa's conviction upon his return from Niger this week.
I'm going right now from here.
You are going to consult with her?
Not consulted, to go and see her and say, be strong. This is what we are fighting for. You went for justice to hear the outcome. You got it now.
Okay.
Are you saying if a person is your friend, your colleague, when they are arrested and put in jail, you don't even visit them? That's what you do?
Arrested or sick or not in better condition.
The Landless People's Movement's Henny Sebeb shared his sentiments on this case.
Now we welcome, as a political party, the judgment that was given by Judge Chris Liebenberg in the matter of Katrina Hanse-Himarwa versus the ACC. It proves that our justice system is still independent and that there has been no political interference exercised thus far. We also, at the same time, will caution any members of whether it is LPM or just a private citizen to warn them that indeed the wheels of justice are grilling. It's moving, it's grinding, and that one shouldn't think that because you are having this and that title in a society that it will be inescapable. So therefore, we urge everyone in this country, irrespective of their religious backgrounds, economic status, and so on, to report corrupt practices and acts of corruption to the relevant authorities. Because the more we report such cases and the more people get arrested and go to court, it will prove that our institutions of corruption fighting agencies will gain ground and that people will have more trust in it. So therefore, we welcome it wholeheartedly. And on the comments that the President made, I think those were unfortunate comments, because the fact that you were charged when you had a different position earlier on in your life does not exonerate you from being charged again under new conditions, under new laws. For example, the fact that this person was a governor, in this case, Madam Katrina, and now that she's a minister, does not mean the justice system should forget about the length of time and so on. That's why we say justice always has a long arm. The laws, we say it's patient, the investigations must be done thoroughly so that nobody should feel prejudice when it comes to the final outcomes of judgments. And that is what we are all agreeing with. So the statements by the president was unfortunate. A head of state is not supposed to make such utterances, because if you look at the previous instances, President Pohamba also had to let go of Master Paulus Kapia. Remember, Paulus Kapia was the secretary of the SWAPO Party Youth League when this AVID case come up. But then again, they allowed him because he was not charged or found guilty in the court of law. He became then a deputy minister. He was part of the parliament. But after a long while, when his case took another turn, he resigned and he had to let go of his deputy minister position. The same with General Martin Shali. We all remember when he was the High Commissioner in Zambia of Namibia. All these things hit up. He was let go by President Pohamba. So to fight high-level corruption shouldn't be an emotional issue. If the president is transparent and if he claims that he follows, according to Harambe, accountability, transparency and trust, as he always used those models, then he is supposed to fire.
And then the education minister resigned.
I am convinced that's only appropriate and honorable for me as a person of integrity and as a person of honor to have been stepped down from my position as executive member in the cabinet of the Republic of Namibia. Also, what prompted for me to take that decision is I appreciate and respect the trust that the president has put in me and having appointed me as his cabinet minister, and the respect I have for him. Also, the trust and the respect that the greater Namibians has put in me as a leader by electing me through the polls, the national elections, that when I was found guilty, not necessarily that I believe that I am guilty, but for the respect of the court of law and the rule of law, I deemed it fair. I deemed it necessary to step down and to also give the necessary space for the president and for the Namibians to be served by another Namibian.
The leading news story in the country was the conviction of the now former Education and Arts Minister, Katrina Hanse-Himarwa, who is awaiting sentencing on a case dating back to when she served as governor of the Gebhardt region between 2004 and 2015. Activist Monica Nambelela shared her views on this case.
She was found guilty of misusing her power, her official power, to remove people from the mass housing list and replace it with her relatives. It's a very serious allegation, and she did a honorable thing and stepped down. But on the other side, the feminist in me, I'm questioning. We have had big fish, corrupt men that are still roaming the streets of Windhoek. It looks like the problem is, I don't have a problem with discipline, but if discipline is only aimed at disciplining women, then I'm worried. Within a year, they wanted to get rid of Beverly Forts. It was so easy, and they are planning to get rid of Zelna Hengari. I think there were a number of females that were being targeted to get fired. My question is, why is it so easy to fire a woman in Namibia? Why is it so easy? The least men get away they get away with crime. You find petty things like just officially apologize. The SME bank, millions of taxpayer money was looted. That money belonged to vegetable vendors and security guards. Up to now, nobody was prosecuted. It became a thing of, let's stop the investigation. How many men were protected in the process?
Let's see what's inspired illustrator Dudley Vile this week. With this being an election year, rumors of that same Team Swapo versus Team Harambe drama unfolding this year are making their rounds once more, with whisperings of former Minister Pendukeni Iivula-Ithana spearheading these efforts. I spoke to her about this.
They say when you want to slaughter your dog, you can come up with an excuse. Yeah, this dog is a thief. This one, does not bark anymore. This one barks too much. The other one is violent. And yeah, you are looking for a reason to kill your dog. I am seeing my name being flashed all over the place. And I'm asking myself, what is this? Really? What is this? People are still talking about Team Swapo. Well, for the purpose of organizing ourselves for the Congress that passed, 2017, truly, we were left when people proclaimed themselves Harambe. I told Pendukeni Iivula-Ithana, I said I am not Harambe, I'm Swapo. I can never be Harambe. I don't know what Harambe means, and therefore I'm not going to follow this thing called Harambe. I remain here as Swapo, because the other people proclaimed themselves Team Harambe. That's why we said we are not Team whatever, Swapo. And it was me, after the results of the Congress. It was me, without having consulted anybody from Team Swapo, that I declared Team Swapo dissolved. But in the eyes of some of my comrades, Pendukeni is the biggest snake that must be killed. I don't know who was I challenging, who felt so hurt so much that every now and then this person is mobilizing forces, dark forces, to attack me all the time. What is it?
Former Home Affairs Minister Pendukeni Iivula-Ithana has served Swapo in various posts since independence and says she was surprised to hear news of her services no longer being required via WhatsApp.
I saw my dismissal letter as a WhatsApp document flying around. WhatsApp. I was on leave in December. On leave. December, January, that time. I saw it first time on WhatsApp. I said, oh, with immediate effect. So, now, what could I do under the circumstance? When my leave ends, I came back to the headquarters. I went and collected all that I had in the office, and the rest is history. That is within the mandate of the president. If he felt that my service to the nation was no longer needed, it's his prerogative. And therefore, I have no quarrel with that whatsoever. It's his prerogative. And he thanked me for what I have done before, and I'm at peace.
I asked the former Minister of Home Affairs, Pendukeni Iivula-Ithana, who found out that she was fired via WhatsApp and now serves as just a member of parliament after having served the government of Namibia since independence, to share her views on the current state of the SWAPO party.
You know, we are living in a democracy. And democracy is a terminology that was handed down on us. Some of us understand it, some do not, and probably we understand it also differently, and all those kind of things. Our major gatherings, have not been building cohesion. Every time we come to congresses, a conference that is supposed now to renew the life and the leadership of the organization. We come out hurt and injured because of the competition. They say competition is healthy. I was present when people were arguing that we should have candidates for a position, at least 3 for every position, and at least one of the contenders must be a woman. We have it in our documents. It's ourselves who decided. But it is ourselves, again, who, when a contestation comes up, some feel that the position is mine already. What are they looking for? Others, what do they want? They want my position. That's a feeling I also get. And now, that, as if that is not enough, after Congress, we don't come together and go over our issues with a way to minimize the damage that was caused during the contestation. It has not been happening. And I must say, because this statement was made publicly by our current president at the Congress, at the conclusion of the Congress, that he regrets that we went the way we went, and in the process we injured one another, but SWAPO has won now, and he, as a winner, was going to make sure that we come together and heal those wounds. That was his public statement. I was just surprised, really. While looking forward to such a gathering, I saw my dismissal letter.
An exhibition by Zimbabwean sculptor Kudzanai Katerere titled Wonderful Women opened at the Project Room in Windhoek West tonight. I caught up with the artist. Check this out.
I started sculpting at the age of 16. That was the secondary level of my sculpting. So from there, I have to donate some sculptures at our school, in a secondary and primary school. So my talent started when I was at school, through the teacher recognizing me that I'm talented. So from there, after my O-level, I have to join a local gallery, which was on our district, where stone sculpting in Zimbabwe started by our first ancestor, which is called Joram Mariga. Is the first sculptor in Zimbabwe, very well known all over the parts of the world. So I'm lucky enough that I was born in the same area where sculpting started in Zimbabwe. So by then now, I can say I'm 14 years now in sculpting field. I haven't done any other job. It's part of nature. It's something that is part of my character. Because the place where I grew up is full of Table Mountains. So those mountains, when I woke up in the morning, I view them and big trees, all that surrounding nature is the great inspiration to me. So sculptures which I see on those natural rocks and the crowds in Nyanga, eastern part of Zimbabwe, those are the great inspiration. So I adopted the sculpting. I believe it's a gift, spiritually I inherited it. This exhibition came after first time when I exhibited here in Namibia in 2017. That's when I exhibited my solo exchange. But apart from that, I first came here in Namibia in 2016 when I was invited by the Parliament of Namibia in collaboration with the youth of Southern Africa. That's when I first come to Namibia. So I was representing our nation, Zimbabwe, at Katutura Youth Expo. That's when I get exposed there. So I looked in the process of my exhibition and I found that women were the great number of the people who supported me. So I decided to dedicate this exhibition, which I titled Wonderful Women, dedicating to them, both those are the most who supported me. I'm not a political artist. I touch different things. But yes, in Zimbabwe there are some difficulties, but as an artist, those difficulties is another inspiration unto me, because they bring to me, they stretch my thinking capacity. So as for me, I can't say it's something that depresses me or whatever. It's something that inspires me. Because the more I face challenge, the more I become a super artist. This one is my favorite piece. I call it My Hair, My Beauty. I have discovered all along through associating with women, and I found that women love their hair. So that's where the inspiration came from. I have even did some researches and even learned from my own sisters how they treat their hair. So I found that the women, they put much attention upon the hair because this is the outward appearance for them. So they want to look nice.
And how long did it take for you to make it?
Yeah, it depends. But as for me, I have to take much time because I'm a very serious person. If it comes to art, it's not about man. Sometimes I have been even making my own collection. There are some even beautiful pieces more than this, but I can't sell them. Maybe I'll sell them when God gives me long life. If I'm reached 60 years, I will be selling them and tell the world that this is what I have been doing. It's not all about man.
Great.
Yeah, this sculpture, I call it the embryo. This is one of the pieces which brought my name above. I first did a piece in 2008, and I broke a record in Zimbabwe, and I became one of the best-selling young artists. And I was also broadcast on BBC as Zimbabwe's one of Zimbabwe's promising young sculptor. So I decided to repeat it, though repeating is not something easy, but I decided to repeat the piece because I see this as a wonder. You know, women, that's how I see women so important in my life. You see, everyone was stayed, whether you came out of your mother after 7 months or whatever, but women, they carry baby for 9 months and all this and that, and people even can't pay attention. So my art, I make my sculptures to speak as a vehicle to express themselves to the people.
Thank you for watching, and stay woke with It's a Wrap by following us on our social media. See you next week.